I'm sure you're a little surprised to see a man up here, and I'm kind of out of my comfort zone. I'm wearing a pink shirt. I'm on stage with a bunch of beautiful models. I'm holding a microphone, and everybody's staring at me. Thanks. But as Pat said, I'm here to provide just a little bit of a different perspective, that of a spouse, a husband of a breast cancer patient. In 2002, my wife Nancy and I were married just about a year, and we decided it was time to start a family. So Nancy went to the doctor, and they found a lump in her left breast. It was cancer. She had surgery, followed by chemotherapy, and followed by radiation oncology, a little bit of radiation treatment. She went through all the treatment, and everything looked good, and we moved on with our lives. And then we were originally looking to start a family, and at that point, we didn't feel like a biological child was necessarily in the making. So we eventually began the process of trying to adopt a baby girl from China. And then about 5 years later, in 2007, the cancer came back. It was again in her left breast. So she had a mastectomy, followed by chemotherapy, mastectomy on the right breast, and that was followed with reconstructive surgery. And again, we found ourselves done with everything. It all looked good, and we began to move on with our lives. Still in the queue to adopt a baby girl from China. And then about a year and a half ago, we were literally within 5 days of seeing a picture of our daughter. And it was back. And it was a lot more serious this time. Nancy had 42 lesions in her lungs, 14 in her liver, and 2 in her spine. And so immediately, with the help of some friends, the baby crib disappeared. The baby's room became an office, and we braced for the next bout with chemotherapy. I'm happy to report that Nancy is doing very well. She's here today. She responded well to chemotherapy, and right now some hormone treatment therapy is holding the ground that the chemo got. So we're very happy about that. But as I think back about our experience, especially during that with each diagnosis through the treatment, your world is full of contradictions. Time is a blur, yet it seems like an eternity until you get that next test result or you go through that next treatment. You know your focus needs to be on yourself and your treatment, but you can't help but think about all the other stuff. How am I going to take work off? How am I going to pay my bills? Who's going to take care of the kids or the dogs? It's almost like it's impossible to focus on the one thing you need to focus on. And finally, when you hear those words, you have cancer, you're immediately surrounded by loved ones, family, friends. You really do feel that presence. But at the same time, you're alone. You're alone with your cancer. You're on an island. And it seems to me that with all the contradiction during that period, that this is where Northwest Hope and Healing steps in. It's a very different organization. There are, as Pat said, there are so many organizations that are out there to help fund research or to help with advocacy or awareness. But when Nancy was going through treatment, or when each of these women were going through treatment, or the woman up the hill who was diagnosed today, research, advocacy, awareness, it doesn't help them today, but Northwest Hope and Healing does. Northwest Hope and Healing, it's there to provide help that is real, help that is practical, and help that is now. It provides funds to allow these women and their families to focus on the one thing they need to focus on. It helps to take care of all those other things that get in the way and add to anxiety. Nancy and I were very fortunate that we didn't need any financial assistance. But there are women today in this city who have to make some tough choices. They're having to choose, they have to choose between their paying the rent or their anti-nausea drugs. They have to choose between paying an electricity bill or buying a wig. And I can't imagine the anxiety that those women are going through. And just saying those words makes me want to reach out and help them. And through Northwest Hope and Healing, I can do that. I can do that tonight. Through the healing baskets, a message is delivered to these women to let them know that they're not alone, that there are others who have been there before and are standing beside them. I remember, thank you. I remember vividly, 2002, Nancy was undergoing chemotherapy for the first time. I got home from work, and she informed me that it was time to shave her head, and that hair had been falling out on her lap and in her brush and in her hands all day. So I tried to gather my strength, and we set up in the bathroom, and I couldn't do it. I tried, and I had to ask her if we could just wait another day to give me an opportunity to gather my strength. And so she allowed that request. And so I spent the next day just getting ready. And I remember right before I fired up the clippers, I glanced over into our bedroom, and I saw the healing basket there. And I remember thinking about all the other husbands and mothers and fathers and sisters who had been in my shoes and were with me at that moment. The value of the healing basket is exponentially greater than the cost. It is a message that lets us know that we're not alone, that we're with those who've been there before. There's so many opportunities to join the fight against so many diseases, and I hope that you'll just remember that Northwest Hope and Healing is a very different organization that allows you to provide a very different kind of help to women who desperately need it. It's help that is real, it's help that's practical, and it's help that's now. Thank you.